This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some huge update to share with you. One Congress member just said $1,000 checks for every American.
Just $1,000 for every single American.
I'll play you the full clip of exactly what he said. President Biden's poll numbers hit a new low. I'll let you know what Bernie Sanders said about that. And gas prices hit a new high. I'll let you know what the Democrats are doing about it and what one Republican senator thinks that the best option is to do about it. We'll also go over the SSI payments of $255, new $1,000 monthly checks going out in one city, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 checks to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. Let's get right into the big news here. So stimulus check update. Representative urges $1,000 for every American over Ukraine aid. So there's a $40 billion deal on the table in Congress, which was held up in the Senate, and one representative is saying that may not be the best idea and that money should go to Americans instead. Take a look at what he has to say here and let me know your opinion.
Congressman Banks, apparently, he says we're at war. Has Congress actually approved a declaration of war?
If they did, I wasn't there for it. I'm not sure what Steny is talking about. And by the way, thank God for the junior senator from Kentucky who's holding up this monstrous spending bill, $40 billion to send to Ukraine, by the way, which is more than we've given Israel in aid over the last 10 years combined, that $40 billion. That's $1,000 for every single American is the equivalent of $40 billion. And with what's going on in America right now, I'd rather be helping Americans get back on their feet than sending money abroad with no strings attached to foreign countries. That's why this was an easy no vote for me earlier this week.
Well, you also have the situation with this COVID funding, and Dr. Fauci, of course, they always trot him out to scare people, this time about the coming, it's like the coming attraction, Congressman. This is the coming variants. Watch.
We really do need the money that was requested, because we're entering right now into a situation where we will be approaching the summer and then ultimately the fall. We need money for vaccines, for boosters, for testing. True, we've been given a lot of money, but the money has been well spent.
Money well spent. Take a look at this headline from CNBC, NBC News. Biggest fraud in a generation, the looting of the COVID relief plan known as PPP. The official in charge of COVID relief tells Lester Holt that these programs were structured in ways that were an invitation to fraudsters. Congressman, we know there's actually no point to most of these testing regimes as well that people are still slaves to in the United States. And Pfizer's made how many billions of dollars with immunity from any lawsuits? They need more money for what exactly?
Well, we always hear Democrats like to spend money, but this takes to a whole new level. I thought we were done with Dr. Fauci, and I can't think of a better spokesperson for the Democrats to trot out and turn off most Americans from doing whatever it is that he's asking us to do at this point. So enough is enough. The fact of the matter is America has been brought to its knees by the Biden economy. Inflation is out of control. Gas prices are only getting worse. And it appears that the Democrats and far too many in the Biden White House and in Congress are focused on what's going on abroad and not focused on what's going on at home. That's where we have to turn our attention.
So what are your thoughts on that? Should there be $40 billion going to Ukraine? Should that money be used to send to Americans, like $1,000 checks for every American? Although I'm not really sure how that math worked out over there. Or should it be both? Should both of them somehow happen? Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. Speaking of $1,000 checks, so Universal Basic Income Payment Schedule, thousands of Americans to get $1,000 monthly payments. Are you eligible? So this latest one is going on in Austin, Texas. So they are putting forward $1 million to fund the payments. It's going to be $1,000 each month for an entire year. Families at risk of eviction, families with missed utility bills, people experiencing homelessness. So that's a UBI program there. Then Social Security Supplemental Income 2022, $255 one-time payment given out in survivor's benefit. Find out who gets it. So basically, the $255 amount is paid out to a family member of an individual that passes away. That is part of the survivor benefits. While the $255 payment is only made one time, there are other benefits to get for a death. So if you are part of survivors, you probably know about the $255 payment for any qualifying family members. And gas prices yesterday on Sunday, national gas price average hit new high on Sunday at $4.47 per gallon. That was yesterday. Highest gas price average throughout the whole country. Take a look at what Representative Bill Cassidy has to say of helping the gas prices go down, which goes against the Democratic plan.
Joining me now, Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee member, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy. Senator, these higher fuel costs are really a tax on those who can least afford to pay it, right?
Trey, I'm in total agreement with you. I wish the Biden administration cared more about the family around their kitchen table struggling to pay bills than they do about their climate change ideology. You can be about lowering carbon, but you first have to be about that family, and they have put that family behind them in terms of their considerations. We should be doing more to lower those fuel costs.
All right, you're a smart guy. You're a medical doctor. So help me understand, why have gas prices going up so much and so quickly? What is the answer to that family wondering, why am I paying double? What's the explanation?
Hey, Trey, it started the first week that the president took office, in which he canceled the Keystone XL pipeline. It's continued in a variety of ways all the way through last week, when you noted they canceled leases to produce oil and gas in the Gulf of Mexico and in Alaska. They've sent a signal throughout to the market, to the producers, that we are at war with you. Just like Putin's going after Ukraine, they're going after oil and gas. And then they're surprised, lo and behold, we're not producing enough oil and gas. They could do things that would send a signal, yes, we'll start producing oil and gas. They won't do that. They've got a war on oil and gas, and the family at the kitchen table is paying the price.
All right, Senator, let me ask you this one, because I've seen reports. So first thing, I'm going to ask you if it's true. And if it is true, I'm going to ask you for the explanation. There are reports that oil and gas companies are reaping higher profits. So in my mind, if my cost is going up, their cost should be going up too, and therefore the profit would not go up. But according to reporting, that's not the case. So is that true, and why is that true?
There's a little bit of lag between when profits and costs begin to catch up. Now, less than a year ago, oil companies on one day had to pay people to take the oil they were producing. They were losing money, they lacked investment, etc. And so now there's a little bit of a lag. It's going to even out. And if you look at the charts, it evens out already. But this is the administration passing the buck, if you will. They could look in the mirror, say the solution lies with us. How do we get more permitting? How do we get more energy produced to lower those costs for the average family? Instead, we're going to blame the oil companies for something that we, the administration, have helped create. They could change it. They could make it better. They choose not to. They look for excuses.
All right, you touched on it, and then the last time you and I were together, I asked you to give the president some advice on energy policy, and for whatever reason, he must not have been watching that night, but he may be watching tonight. So I'm going to ask you, we got about a minute, I'm going to ask you, give him what he should be doing to get these energy prices down.
Trey, we need an Operation Warp Speed for energy. And just like in the previous administration, a vaccine was developed in 10 months, which we were told would take 2 to 10 years, and saving lives within 10 months. Similarly, if we align those regulatory agencies, bring them in a room, if you got a problem and this agency has to solve it now, we could align those regulations, we could begin to produce that oil and gas like that. There's a major producer that told me that if they had the permits, within 1 year, there would be oil and gas coming off the coast of Louisiana into the refineries to lower the price at the pump and the fuel cost for the home heating and air conditioning within a year. And you could say, well, that's a year. Yeah, but it sends a signal and prices begin to go down right away. The administration won't do it. They're wedded to their ideology, but we need an Operation Warp Speed. Mr. President, if you're watching, think about the American people first. Put in Operation Warp Speed, lower the price at the pump.
What are your thoughts on what Senator Bill Cassidy has to say? Do you agree, disagree? So that is the Republican plan to just kind of, make oil, get the oil from the U.S. land, start drilling in America now. Is that a good idea, bad idea? The Democrat plan, is to ban on excessive gasoline prices, is heading for House vote. So basically, measure would bar excessive or exploitative fuel prices. Pump prices have set new records for the past 3 days. So basically, with this new bill going on in Congress, or from the Democrats' perspective, it would set the gas prices steady, regardless of whether the oil prices go up and down, which would prevent the oil companies from price gouging and raising the gas prices. So which plan do you like better, Democrat one or the Republican one? Let me know your thoughts on that. And President Biden having a tough time in the job. Biden job approval hits another low in new survey. So in this NBC poll survey, President Biden's job approval rating dipped to another low, with just 39% of Americans approving of the job he's doing and 56% disapproving. So what are your thoughts? Do you think President Biden was handed a tough deck of cards, like everything, the pandemic and inflation, all that? Or is it President Biden's doing and he's not doing the best job and someone else should come in? Let me know your thoughts on all that. Here is what Bernie Sanders has to say about what President Biden is doing, plus a few other issues.
And joining me now is the progressive independent senator from Vermont, who caucuses with the Democrats, Bernie Sanders. Senator Sanders, it's good to see you, sir.
Good to be with you.
Let me start with what you know probably instinctively these days, but our polling has found 75% of the country thinks we're headed in the wrong direction. In fact, just 28% of Democrats right now think the country is headed in the right direction. Where do you stand? Do you think we're headed in the wrong direction?
I sure do. Look, what we're looking at is a nation today where the billionaire class, the people on top, are doing phenomenally well, Chuck. The middle class continues to decline. We're seeing increased concentration of ownership in America, which has huge impacts for ordinary people. You got three Wall Street firms, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, that have assets of over $20 trillion, controlling hundreds of corporations. You're seeing millions of people unable to afford the cost of prescription drugs, unable to afford health care, unable to put gas in the tank. So how can anyone think that what's going on right now is good? And obviously, what I and other progressives are trying to do is put together a movement which tells the billionaire class in this country, whose profits are soaring, who are getting richer and richer, you know what, you can't have it all. We need an economy that works for the middle class, the working class, the elderly, the children, not just the few on top.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about the movement, because there's definitely, we see it in our own polling, there are more people that agree with sort of your mindset, that you're framing. We need big structural change. But what do we do now before the elections? At the end of the day, you have the Senate that you have, not the one that you want. What can get done now that could actually mitigate what looks like it's going to be a tough year for Democrats?
Look, we passed early on in the Biden administration one of the most significant pieces of legislation in the modern history of this country. That was the American Rescue Plan, which, Chuck, in my view, did a whole lot to help people deal with the economic turmoil that we saw as a result of COVID and massive unemployment. What we have got to do right now, it's not hard. You know what you do? You listen to the American people and not wealthy campaign contributors. What does that mean? It means that right now you lower the outrageous cost of prescription drugs in this country. You have the guts to take on the pharmaceutical industry that right now has 1,500 paid lobbyists in Washington, D.C. You expand Medicare. I happen to believe, as candidates that I support believe, that health care is a human right, not a function of making huge profits for the insurance companies and the people who own them. You got to move toward expanding health care. You got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. You got to create millions of jobs by dealing with the existential threat of climate. And by the way, you got to do what the American people want and understand that it is women who have the right to control their own bodies, not the government.
Okay, everything you said there was being addressed in Build Back Better. Okay, it wasn't as big as you wanted it. It was too big for some. But why do we have nothing? Right, that is the head scratcher here. Understand you don't have it all. Why is it zero? Why is there nothing?
It should not be a head scratcher. You got two members of the Senate, Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, who have sabotaged what the president has been fighting.
That's a strong word, sabotage.
Sabotage. Well, you help me out with a better word here. You got 48 members of the Senate who wanted to go forward with an agenda that helped working families, that was prepared to take on the wealthy and the powerful. You had a president who wanted to do that. You had two people who prevented us from doing that. You have a better word than sabotage? That's fine, but I think that is the right word. And I think pressure has got to be put on the part of people in West Virginia, in Arizona, to say, you know what, why don't you stand up for ordinary Americans, not just your wealthy campaign contributors? Why don't you have the guts to take on the drug companies and the insurance companies and the fossil fuel industry? And I think we have got to go and take that agenda that you indicated. It's what the American people want. Do the American people think it makes sense that some of the wealthiest people in this country pay zero in federal income tax? Of course they don't. Zero. Corporate, large corporations making billions pay zero in federal income tax. We have got to have the guts to go forward with an agenda that shows the American people what we're trying to do. You're going to have no Republicans supporting us. Let the American people see the difference between those who are fighting for working families and those who are not.
So let me ask you, though. I've talked to Pennsylvania Democrats, and they also blame Senators Manchin and Sinema. They don't blame the Republicans. Is that healthy for the party, that all of this concentration, and should you have found something to do that isolates the Republicans rather than you guys ended up dividing the party against itself?
No, I don't see it that way, Chuck. I mean, I think on all of these issues, we had zero Republican support for the proposals in Medicare, in Build Back Better, that were enormously popular. So it's certainly not just Manchin and Sinema. They are 2 out of the 50 Democrats who went in the wrong direction, but every Republican did. You didn't have one Republican who said that maybe in the richest country in the history of the world, we should expand Medicare to cover dental care, hearing aids, and vision. Not one Republican who said that maybe the United States should join every other major country on earth and have paid family and medical leave so a woman giving birth today isn't forced to go back to work a week from now. Not one Republican. So if your point is it's not just Manchin and Sinema, you're right. It is every Republican. Now, the problem, I think, is we have not done a good job in making that clear to the American people.
What are your thoughts on what Bernie Sanders has to say? Do you agree, disagree? Can the Democrats be doing more? Should Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, play ball? Let me know your thoughts on all that. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you one thing that you should do. When you want to do something, you have the power to do whatever you want. Unless, one thing, you believe in yourself. That's the only trick. So that's all I wanted to tell you for today. Bye. This is the Bella.
Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of the Wise Flies community. So it is that time of the month again, and I am giving out $200 checks to my subscribers just to show my appreciation for you and participating, spending some time with me throughout your day, subscribing, commenting, liking. Even if you don't do all the subscribing and commenting, just spending time with me is good enough. As you notice, if you watch my videos compared to a lot of other YouTubers, I rarely ever ask to subscribe. I figure if you want to watch, you'll watch. Anyways, to show my appreciation, I'm giving out $200 checks, physical checks. You could do whatever you want with it. You could pay your bills, utilities. It's not digital. It's just literally a physical check that I send to you. And the way you can do it this time, there's 3 ways. So first, just on this video alone, or actually, no. First, you have to be subscribed to this channel, Wise Flies, what you're watching right now, and then be subscribed to my other 2 channels. It's going to be Wise Pickleball and Wise Buys. Once you're subscribed to those channels, really quick and easy and free, you just hit the red button. Then the third thing is to comment only on this video alone, the one that you're watching, the word happy. Let me know what you're happy about. If you pay attention, I like to just end the videos on a good note and try to make you feel a little bit better. Even though I give you some negative news, I want you to feel a little bit better after watching my videos. So a little mind shift change here. Just write the word happy, what you're happy about, and then I'm going to pick the comment at random. If you want more detailed instructions, if I was talking too fast, I have it written out down in the description below, and then I'll choose the winners at random with choose the random comment through a random comment generator. So that's how it works. Good luck to you. If you want to check out the latest video on my Wise Pickleball channel of me playing with my dad. So my dad came to visit for a couple days and we got to play 2 games together, which I was able to film. So if you want to check out that game of me playing with my dad, you could click this video right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.